good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. I didn't do it. You helped me do it, man. Let's do it together, right? I appreciate you. I value all the support that I get, and I'm very humbled because of it. So thank you. Dubs did a video. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And it was a video based off, it was a reaction video based off a channel, Killer Chronicles, man, who puts out some great content, great material. And he actually had a video that did over 1 million views called Woodie's Dirty Deeds. And in the past, I've actually did a reaction to that video myself, discussed it. I did discuss with Dubs like, hey, you know, this is a good look for you. Something that I think is right up your, right on your level because, Dubs was a lifer. He did a long time incarcerated in prison. And no one can tell you the mentality of a lifer unless they were one. So, he could understand the plight of Gabe Roberson, which is Snoop from Antioch, and what he's going through right now as basically, some say an innocent man, locked up forever on a murder case. And so that whole video is based off of someone's opinion and perspective on the situation. Now, those that know who Woodie is, he's probably considered the greatest Northern California rapper that ever lived. Lyrically, the get down, the respect. He's a legend in the Bay Area. He's a legendary figure when it comes to the Northern California rap music. Everybody knows that Woodie was with the activities, the shenanigans, the business, and all that. And I have a lot of respect for Woodie. I met Woodie in real life. Truth. I was in the youth authority with several homeboys from Antioch, homeboys all throughout the Bay. And when I got out in 1996, there was a lot of homeboys. We'd all tap in together. That's just kind of how it was. We had this little old red phone book. Anyone that was in YA, they know that little old red phone book that had all the homeboys' AKs, the 5-on-5s. Now that motherfucker was valuable, right? But we'd all try to tap in because that canalismo that we had while incarcerated, locked up, we didn't want to let that go. That was like family. They were like brothers. That's all we had. So, some you tell, hey, yeah, when I get out, I'm going to write you. I'm going to do that. We ain't no one doing that. Ain't no one writing anyone, putting money on their books, all that. You might put them a little, yeah, voila. But that's about it, right? But for the most part, you would tap in with the homies. So I stayed tapping in with certain homeboys. There was a homeboy from Antioch. He's like, come through, man. Come trip out on my hood. So I did. He's from the same neighborhood that Woodie was from, the rapper. So over a course of time, going out there, kicking back, I've told stories on it. I got to meet Woodie, and he was a very cool dude, man. I didn't know he was going to become the legendary figure that he ended up becoming, but I respected him as being a homie. I didn't look at him as anything else other than a norteño, I know he was white. That didn't mean anything to me. Doesn't matter the ethnicity. When it comes to the norteño movement, man, anybody worthy of the cause, color doesn't mean anything. Once you become or involve and ingrain yourself into the northern cause, you cease to be white, black, brown anymore. Now you are fighting for something bigger than yourself, and that's the cause, the movement, So that was kind of my history with Woodie. So when I seen that Dubs did this video, I kind of wanted to put my 2 cents in on it and break down what, how I feel, my true feelings about that whole case and what I truly believe. Now, there's a lot of rumors. And about the time that this whole incident took place, this shooting at this quinceañera, right? This is the 90s. This is when gangbanging in Northern California was at its heights. Even in Southern California, drive-bys were happening, red on red, blue on blue, vaudeville on vaudeville, turf warfare. North and South in Northern California was vicious. Anyone wearing the color blue could get it. Anyone wearing the color red could get it. It was kind of a Wild Wild West situation where it was your vaudeville and your vaudeville against everyone else, period. Unless you had some close homeboys. Like there was different neighborhoods that would click up, get along, but it still didn't mean shit. It meant you and yours first and foremost. And, Antioch's not a very big city in the Bay Area. It's not, right? It's considered, it's the dirty waters. It's a smaller little area. But it was well known for gangbanging. There was a lot of gangs there. There was a lot of North and South issues. And the Bay Area has always been like that. So, Woodie in his music, he talks a lot of truth. You know, if you really sit down and decipher his music, like I have, a lot of the things that he was alleged to be involved in or he was involved in, he spoke on through his music. And a lot of rappers have done that. We know X-Rated did that in the past. That's what got him caught up and caught him that life beef. Now he's out, but he looked at a lot of time because of a rap song. And of course, the feds, the district attorney, everybody's going to listen because it's basically a confession. Well, you know, in the early 90s, there was an incident that took place where Blackbird, who was a well-known figure because of the song Blackbird that Woodie did, was he was a fool, right? He was known out there. You know, he got caught up in a murder case, this actual murder that Snoop is convicted on, and he went on the run. And bodies started to drop. A lot of work started to get put in, and they were looking at him. They were looking at him to implicate him in a lot of murders. He knew what he did, what he didn't do. Everything is alleged because he never got convicted on all these things. So the guy goes on the run. And there's a big mystery right just behind his case, you know, and how his ultimate demise was, you know, according to what people say. And there's two sides to every story and then the truth, right? And I could sit here and argue there's going to be people that don't like Blackbird because when he did a standoff at his baby mother's home with his two daughters, his children, the word on the curb was that he took the lives of his two children and his own, right? And that's a coward move. You know, you don't hurt your babies. You don't hurt no one else. It's not that serious. Nothing becomes that serious. Moves and mistakes that you've made in life shouldn't impact your kids. It's going to impact them in the long run, but you shouldn't be the one to put the gun on them, right? So there was a lot of people hating on that. But if you noticed, Woodie and a lot of the people from his neighborhood always showed Blackbird respect and shine even after that incident because they believe what I truly believe, and that it was a cover-up, that something else happened there. You know, if you look at the autopsy report, if you look at the reports, which I've been privy to look at them, they're public record, some of them have been swept under the rug for some mysterious reason. But there was 2 fatal shots to Blackbird at that time. And I mean, that you just don't hit yourself twice, right? So, you know, from what I heard, eyewitnesses, people that were actually there, and I've read, you know, there was a standoff and there were several shots fired and him and his kids were deceased, right? So there's always going to be the legend of that. Whether you choose to believe Blackbird was in the right or the wrong, of course, he shouldn't have put his kids in that situation. But I could understand he's already looking at a whole bunch of murder cases and assaults and these things. He wanted to go visit his children. Someone ratted on him, told him where he was at. They had been looking for him for over 4 years. And he decided to do the standoff. Okay, rewind to before that. There was a quinceañera. And in the early 90s, man, quinceañeras were popping. They were popping, man. And we're going to get to how I feel about what Dub said in the situation in a minute. But quinceañeras were popping. I remember we always looked for quinceañeras to go to, not just, we were wedding crashers, quinceañera crashers, right? We wanted to go get free drinks, eat good. We always knew, you know, quinceañeras traditionally are done by Mexicanos. So there's going to be pozole, there's going to be carnitas, there's going to be chicharrón, there's going to be chicks, right? There's going to be shit cracking at quinceañeras. But also, we understood traditionally people that threw quinceañeras were more paisa and more Southsiders. And I'll tell you the reason. Norteños did too, northern families, but that was more of a tradition coming from Mexico. So a lot of the Southsider families would throw quinceañeras. So there was always that aspect of, hey, if we go to a quinceañera, there's going to be Southerners there. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We could eat all the pozole, drink all the modelos, and kill somebody, right? So there was that mentality in Northern California was, if there was a quinceañera happening, let's do our proper homework and find out whose it is, and let's go tear that shit down. So that's what happened over there in the Antioch area. You know, there was a quinceañera that was taking place, and somewhere along the line, Blackbird, Woodie, Snoop, all these guys from his neighborhood found out that this quinceañera was going to be ran. Basically, was going to have Southsiders there, Southerners. There was actually one that was well known, was a hitter, and they identified him. So allegedly what happened in that crime is 2 people walked in, and again, you could watch the original video on Killer Chronicles. He done a great mini documentary on it, and it pretty much gives you names, places, dates, pictures, and times. But these guys walk in, and Blackbird is positively identified as a shooter, and of course, a fair-skinned white man with reddish hair, little tail in the back, uses a gauge, kills someone. Okay, they identified Gabe Robertson, Snoop. Okay. Now, if you've ever looked at a picture side by side back in the days of Snoop and Woodie, they're very similar. I think the only difference in the way you could kind of tell them apart is if you know, or the color of their hair. Now, in the initial report, they were saying that the hair was red, right? Gabe's hair is is a light brown. It's not red. So there was that there. At the time that this incident occurred, Gabe was at the quinceañera but decided to leave. Okay, went home. According to his testimony, he went home, and that was that. He heard about the incident the next day, and that was pretty much that. He ends up getting incarcerated on different charges, and while in Susanville prison on his last day, they rearrest him. I've seen plenty of people that happens to them. You know, there's a case pending. They'll wait till you do your whole stretch, and on the last day or just a few days prior to you getting released, that's when the pro officers, they usually what happens is 90 days prior to you getting out, they'll start to look. They'll do interstate compacts and look at different files and Fed files and make sure that you don't have no warrants or no outstanding cases. Because if you do, you're not going to be paroled. You're going to be transferred to that county where you have new cases or whatever the case may be. If there's any, you know, pending investigations, detectives are going to come knocking at your door on that last day. They wait. That's how messed up it is, that they'll wait for you to do all your time. And right when you think you're getting out, you ain't going nowhere. So they slap the cuffs on and rearrest you, take you to the local county jail or the county jail where the crime occurred. And you have to sit there. So you never really get out. You just transition from one prison to a county and back to prison if you get convicted. That's what happened to Snoop. He was rearrested or arrested on murder charges for that incident. Now, he's always maintained his innocence. And the trip on that story is, and why people are blaming Woodie, is that Woodie said some pretty peculiar lines in some of his songs. Again, I say rappers use that as an outlet to vent and to tell half-truths, or to tell, you know what they say, a half-truth is a whole lie, right? And what he put out there was a lot of things that he said, and a lot of it is on Killer Chronicles. A lot of it that Dub reacted to was right on. You know, when to explain or understand how it feels to be incarcerated for something you didn't do, I couldn't do it. I'd go crazy, right? I was locked up before, given 3 years for a crime I ultimately felt I did not do. I was there. One of my homeboys did it, and I understand that if, you know, your homies do it, then you're just as liable, even though I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was laughing when they arrested me, when they slapped the cuffs on me, like, there ain't no way this is going to stick. You shit. I didn't do shit, right? Of course, I'm not saying anything about my homie, but I'm thinking, the homie's righteous. He'll take the whole case. I'll be out by tomorrow. Hey, I got a lawyer. He's such a good lawyer. By tomorrow, cops, you're going to be working in Alaska, so dress warm. Well, I should have dressed warmer, because 2 weeks after that, I was taking a plea bargain for 3 years, right? You do that when you're facing 10 to 15. So the whole time I was incarcerated, I was bitter. I was mad, but I knew I was a victim of circumstance. I was hanging around with the wrong people at the wrong time, got caught up. And it was crazy because at that time I was trying to change my life. I was still active. I was still a gang member. And I was just trying to figure something else out. Like maybe I should just work and do good. And I didn't get that opportunity. And it just sucked me deeper into the abyss of gangbanging, right? And it was what it was. So now I could understand that. But to be convicted and locked up for something you never did, and you got all day, and you got a homeboy that may or may not have did it. You know, let's just be cut and dry. My honest opinion is Woodie did that. Okay, that's my honest opinion. I've been asked in the past, do you think Woodie was the guilty one? I believe so. You know, I'm not trying to point blame or snitch or any of that. He's dead. Woodie's gone. I believe the time is now to fight for Snoop's innocence and to help him. You know, and people are saying, well, Snoop wasn't a good homeboy if he let his homeboy rot like that. No, you know, Snoop did a lot. He was getting them lawyers. He was trying to help him out. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know if it was his conscience that ate him up. I know mine would. If I did a crime and my homeboy took the rap for me and he's locked up forever, the rest of his life, and I'm making money and I'm having women, I couldn't be hitting some shit. I couldn't be smashing a torta without thinking, damn, my homeboy's never going to get to do this. He's never going to get to eat, you know, a steak. He's never going to get to enjoy, you know, everything that's going on. You know, as Woodie's career started to blow up and he started to become a bigger name, a more recognized name, that was an outlet or a chance to actually shed some more light on your homeboy that's incarcerated, maybe to help him a little bit more. There's always going to be those that said Woodie didn't do it. He had nothing to do with it. It's just, he just looked similar to Snoop. And it's up for your interpretation. But I've talked to people, man. I had someone tap in just the other day from Antioch when they seen Dubs' video. So it was yesterday. And he told me, he was like, bro, I know him personally, and I'll tell you right now, Gabe didn't do that shit. I said, yeah, I know. That's what I believe. And I don't believe it because I don't believe all the rumors. I just believe some of the things that came out of Woodie's mouth in them rap songs are basically not telling on himself, but telling the people. Again, it's letting you know without letting you know, right? So Dubs did the video, and it's crazy because he hardly ever reacts to more stuff that's more official. I mean, he does. All right, we'll do it like this. Better wording, right? Dubs likes to do comedy. His reactions are comedy. He reacts to Wes Watson every Wednesday. Make sure you guys tap in. This shit's funny, hilarious. He taps into oddball characters, man, and doesn't clown them, but kind of just has fun with it. But this is more of a serious nature. And when he tapped in and had the idea, and I told him, yeah, do it, bro. He didn't really know too much about Woody. He did his homework, started to realize and figure out, and actually said, damn, he had some good music. I think that stigma is always going to be there north and south. So it's hard for someone that's from Southern California to react to Northern California because that propaganda and that way of thinking has always been force-fed to each side, that the other side is less than. And then you might be objective because you might have had some interactions where you feel like, hey, we're more superior than them. Like the skits I do with my cousin, put your shirt on. That's true. That shit has been really out there like that. People feel like the Northern cause is beneath the Southern cause, right? And even to this day, me, myself, I believe everybody's equal. Everyone goes through a strife, a struggle. So when Dubs did this, I commend him on doing the reaction he did and giving it, just the way he did it was smooth because, this story is something that's buried in the archives of the Norteño movement. It's something that, unless you're from Northern California, you've never heard about the myth, the legend, or the legend that was Woody and how good of a rapper he was, but how he was on borrowed time. Not only, from God, but it seems like he was on borrowed time from his conscience. Ultimately, the story out there, and even the mystery around his death is a trip. People say he took his own life. People saying that his life was taken. I don't know, man. But I know that several years after Woody passed, AWAX, the rapper, came out and pretty much said, that there was a death note written, a confession, and that Woody's family, his mother specifically, was in possession of it. And that it was time to let that be known so that way Snoop can get some action out. Imagine, this guy's been locked up for 30 years now, incarcerated for a crime he ultimately did not commit. I believe he didn't. I'm not going to say, I'll just say this. I'm not going to say who's guilty, but I don't believe he is. Okay? And it sucks, man. That's where Dubs comes in. As a lifer being incarcerated for a crime which he did commit, self-admitted, right? Signed, sealed, delivered, and convicted. He's been around guys that have sitting down, locked up. I have too, that didn't do the crime. There ain't no fucking way. Let me explain to you how just your name or slight variations in your name and things like that can get you caught up. So I get out. It was 2003, 2004, I get out. And I was doing dirt bad, man. I didn't have a job, couldn't get a job. I was under that same mentality that you can't get a job, you're an ex-convict, whatever. Man, I walked up and down streets looking for jobs. My legs damn near blew up. I couldn't walk no more. This is back when they had the old school phone books. I actually looked in a phone book, found one of my old bosses from years ago's name. Didn't know if I had the right name. Last change in my pocket. Didn't have no money. Didn't even have an ID yet because I went to the DMV to go get it. And I called and his wife answered. And when I mentioned his name, she was like, I mentioned him by nickname. She said, wow, we haven't heard that name in years. He knew exactly who it was by the nickname. I called him. First thing he says, hey, buddy, you want a job? He was a white dude. I said, absolutely. He's like, I got you. We worked it all out. He was like, be here at this corner every day. I could pick you up. And, so now I had a ride, a job. Man, what people do for other people, man, I'll never forget it in my life. That guy, I'm forever in debt to that guy. I wasn't working at the job for less than a month when we get pulled over. SWAT team jumps out on us. They're looking for me. Your past will catch up to you sometimes. They snatch me up, scare the shit out of my boss. He's a white dude. He don't know what. His brother's the sheriff. He's like, my brother's the sheriff, right? They take us. He gets out of county immediately. And now I'm looking at these charges. They won't tell me my charges, just that I'm being transported to California. I was out of state in Washington at the time, right? So, all right, whatever. So I go through interstate compact, city to city, county to county. I finally get where I'm going and find out that I have some domestic violence charges. Now, the trolls are going to be like, oh, Gunn was beating women. No, no, no. Gunn wasn't beating on no women. What had happened was my ex's old man beat on her. And and this is what typical women, what they do is they call the cops. And then when the cops get there, they don't want to press charges. They don't want their old man locked up. They love him too much, right? So the first name that came to her mind was my name. So she said my name. Oh, it's this guy that did it. Here I am locked up in prison already in another state on some whole other different shit. And she's over here throwing my shit. So when I get a lawyer, public defender, and he tells me exactly, or she tells me, she was a woman, what the charges are, I'm laughing. I'm like, there's no way. She was like, well, you're going to sit in here. It's going to take me this long to sit in here and do this and do that and figure it out. And I'm like, there ain't no way I did it on this date. I was locked up. I've been in prison for years, you know. I called my baby's mom. What the fuck did you say? She was like, my bad. That's years ago. I guess I had a warrant from that long ago. Oh, whatever, right? Come to find out, I literally take a deal on this shit, right? And for somehow, some way, it just disappeared off my record. They let me out after 10 days. I've told that story, and it is what it is. Moral of the story is that I say that to say this. Being locked up for something you didn't do sucks. Fucking sucks. So I don't know if Gabe, how he feels right now. Maybe bitter. I would say you become bitter. At first, you know, you do it out of pride. I'm going to take the rap for the homeboy. I don't give a fuck till the wheels fall off. But you become older. Genuinely more smarter. You know, and tired. You know, tired is a word for people in prison. People that have done decades in prison become tired, man. Not only physically, but your soul becomes tired. You know, that's what prison is meant to do. It's meant to break you, you know, break your mentality, break your mental state, break you away from your family. Family members pass away, Easters and birthdays and Christmases go on without you. It breaks that bond. They try to break everything and strip everything from you because you were bad in society. You took that from other people, so they're going to take it from you psychologically and slowly, which is worse than just rapidly, right? So I can only imagine Snoop's plight. Dubs touched on a lot of good points, man. You know, and I was really surprised that he was actually willing to do a video on, you know, a Northern California incident that happened. I commend him for it. Not a lot of people have. You know, it's like, seems like there's a bias there, even in reactions like, oh, I can't react to that because that's not from my area. And that's not the case, man. Doing as much time as Dubs did, I could understand him feeling some type of way about the topic and saying, you know what, enough is enough. This guy, if he's doing all day, man, it's up to us as content creators, as Mexicanos, Chicanos, Raza, to put it out there for the gente that are, you know, unjustly incarcerated or that need a second chance. If we don't do it for our own people, no one else will. So anyways, that's kind of my take on that whole incident. You know, Woodie did take his life. And if that note is out there, man, I don't know why that note is not put out there to help this young man, or he's old now, get out. You know, there's so much that goes into this. Watch Dub's video. Watch Killer Chronicles' original video. Decide for yourself whether this guy was guilty or not. In that area, people are going to claim up and down that he's not guilty. I don't believe so either. I've seen it from every different angle, and I don't think there's no way possible that he's guilty. And I think ultimately Woodie got away with one. Do I think he's a bad homeboy for letting his homeboy sit and rot in prison? No, I just believe that he thinks that was part of the game. See, when you're involved in the gang life and involved in that criminal lifestyle, you got to chalk shit up. What will people say? Oh, well, he know what he signed up for. Yeah, but it's kind of hard to let that, you know, unless you're in them shoes. I mean, fuck. You know, come on now. Signed up for it. He didn't sign up to get it, you know, locked up forever, for life, for something he didn't do. And then people justify, well, he did a lot other things, you know, so he's just paying the piper. Yeah, well, there's a lot of other people that did other things too, and they're not. So, you know, it becomes fucked up. And then it's a situation, if Snoop would have said something, now he's a rat, he's a punk, he's a bitch, he's no good. And we would have never known the Woodie that we know now. Life works in mysterious ways. Maybe the legacy of Woodie and everything that he has, he owes it to Snoop for allowing that to take place and being a stand-up individual. Now it's time for someone to stand up for Snoop. Man, Dubs did a great job. Make sure you guys tap into his reaction. I just truly believe that coming from a Southern point of view, that was a great thing. You know, it's finally good to see or hear the story from someone else's point of view. And I'm just glad that Dubs took the initiative to do it. He's breaking down doors with these reactions. With that being said, I hope that you move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. I'm going to continue to do what I do. That's my 2 cents on it. You know what I'm saying? I was hands-on. I was right there. I met Woodie. Good dude. You know, if he did some shit like this, if any homeboy would do some shit like this and then let their homeboy rot in jail, man, I can't fuck with that. You know, but he does got good music though. You see right there? The Woodie album. It's always on deck. Bang, bang.